Alright, welcome back to Unbound Chapters Podcast. I'm Sandra.
I'm Isabel.
Today we're going to be talking about another book, part of, I don't know, maybe spooky season?
Yeah.
Halloween season?
We definitely got spooky-ish type of vibe.
Spooky stories happening these first
Next
videos.
couple are definitely going to be spooky too.
Yeah. Some wasn't like spooky as in like scary, but you know, Halloween, spooky vibes. Okay, what was the book?
It was Riding the Headless Horseman, and I'm going to butcher this name, so I'm sorry, by Molly Likovich, or Likovich, or Likovich?
Something. We tried to find the pronunciation, but there was a lot of different names, so yeah. Yes, I guess I'll tell a little bit about the story. Don't have a lot of notes, just going off of memory, but it's on Kindle Unlimited. Yeah, so if it's on Kindle Unlimited, it's like page 9 to page 61. It's like the whole story. So basically the story is actually, thankfully, more of a story compared to the last book we read.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't watched that one, you should watch that video.
I read mine on Nook.
Oh, Nook?
Yeah.
I don't know what
I
that
read
is.
it on Nook this time. Barnes & Noble Nook.
Okay. Would it be different on Kindle Unlimited, do you think?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, check Kindle Unlimited, but I guess it's on Nook, Barnes & Noble Nook. I just have Apple Books, so I don't know.
People who have Nooks know what it is.
Okay. If you don't have a Nook, get a Nook. Yeah, so this story kind of started out like, I want to say a typical Halloween book, because I haven't read. These are like my first Halloween books that I've kind of read before.
I think I've read some before, but it wasn't like on the day, just the one day.
Yeah, so the story kind of like starts out with this girl. I think her name like Arletta. Did you read Arletta?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't know if there was like a different pronunciation, but this girl, she lives in, did she say Salem, Sleepy Hollow?
No, just Sleepy Hollow, New York.
Something was Salem in the book, she said.
She said Salem once.
Yeah,
and
so
then
that's
she
why I
stuck
was
with Sleepy Hollow, New York.
Yeah, that's why I was a little bit confused. But yeah, I guess she lives in a place called Sleepy Hollow. You know, with the Sleepy Hollow, there's a cat. Sorry. I guess with like Sleepy Hollow, there's, you know, always some kind of spooky legend.
But like the people in this town actually believe in the Headless Horseman, and someone always says that they see him every Halloween.
Yeah, and like it says something about if a person dies in October, like it's because of him. So like the legend is real, but
whether or not they're missing a head or whatever.
Yeah. So like obviously the character is the Headless Horseman, you know.
Oh, also the Headless Horseman isn't just the Headless Horseman. She kept calling him like Death.
Yeah, she was calling him Death in the story, but
and how she said she didn't believe in like a physical like embodiment of death. She believed in dying, but she didn't believe in like a death person.
Yeah, so like they say it's a Headless Horseman, she says it's like Death. And kind of there was like a notion that she has a job. She's a witch and she like does tarot readings amongst other things, and she says she like judges the person, like are they going, Hanny? Like, is this person like a believer? Then I'll like try to do more real things. So they're not a believer, you know, I get to get some like mumbo jumbo and get some money. But yeah, so anyway, she Animal.
She was missing her grandma, which it was really brief that her grandma was brought up and then just kind of like not talked about again for how important she sounded. She was doing her own tarot, and she only does her own tarot with her grandma's deck. And she got the lovers, and she got I think one of the cups, and then I can't remember the last one.
Death.
No, that was later.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, well, after her workday was finished, she went home and was like, I want to feel connected to my grandma. Let me do a tarot reading. And that's when she got, those cards.
And then she's like, I'm feeling antsy in the middle of the night on Halloween. I'm gonna go for a walk with my nightgown. No light.
Nightgown, jacket, or not jacket, not even a jacket, cardigan or something.
Cardigan, yeah. She was like, no shoes, no jacket, no protection.
Let me just take a walk in the woods by this spooky bridge all alone on Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh, and she kept saying, this is the part of the movie, where the killer comes, why are you out here?
And
she kept mentioning that.
She was walking, and then she felt in her pocket a card, and she pulled it out, and it was the death card.
So it's oh, haha, very, very funny, it's the death card, and then...
She looks up, and...
Yeah, she's, looking on this, at this bridge, there's, a dark shadow, it's, a figure, and she's okay, this is not good, and then... He comes for her. She hears galloping. She's running. She hears galloping. She's I don't hear galloping. This is not real. I'm just scaring myself. And then next thing you know, she's lifted up and thrown over the saddle. Yep, she's on the Headless Horseman's horse with him, and she's flailing around. And he was listen, you're mine now, so just relax. And now there's one point she's still flailing around, so he lifts her up so she can sit on the horse a proper way.
Yeah, and then she feels his reaction.
Horseman. she kind of,
and she's oh, so the jump from I'm being kidnapped by a myth I didn't believe in to
now he's got a hard on for me.
He's got a hard on, and do I like it?
Yeah.
Was a little bit drastic.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I've read worse.
Yeah. I feel there was still, a little bit more of the story.
I definitely enjoyed the life before.
Yeah, I put a note on my phone. It was, the first spicy thing, and I put quotations because it's just nipple play, I guess, just touching her boobs. I guess it's spicy, but that was on page 28. So from 9 to page 28 from 9 to page 28 there was just story. So it was, much better than the previous story that we read. He is going crazy.
Hanny!
Come here. I know, but... yeah, so from page 9 to 28, there was actual story, and then something started to happen. It was things started to happen. I mean, of course this man, he has no head. He's the Headless Horseman. So...
I thought it was kind of cool the way that he talked. He just
Yeah. Oh yeah. But before they're talking, he's talking in her mind or something like that.
It's not. I didn't read it as in her mind. I read it as he thinks so hard it's audible.
Yeah. And then they're riding on his horse, and then they just come into a new, not realm, but a different kind of, they crossed something, a barrier, a bone bridge.
Yeah.
And then, so they crossed a barrier.
And she was I'm in the underworld. Was it the underworld, or was
I think they said
Land of the Dead, something like that.
I don't know if he specified if it was the underworld, or if she just said it was the underworld. Because she still thought he was death at this, not thought that he was death, but she still thought about something, and then he was well, I'm not death, I'm just a helper kind of thing. But yeah, so they cross into this bone bridge, and here he can take his
pumpkin
off of his head, and she can still hear him, but he's talking, but obviously it's hard to talk without a head, but he's able to do it.
That he needs the pumpkin so that he can see in the human realm.
Yeah, it was like I wouldn't say like a courteous thing, but it like helps him take people or like do his job. I guess if you don't have a head and you can't see, it's gonna be hard to take someone on your horse or something, but he's trying to get in the box. Yeah, so I was a bit confused at one part.
Not yet. Well,
okay.
Maybe I feel like there's more before I got confused.
Okay. You can say something?
It's just like the beginning started so strong.
Mm-hmm.
If it had been like pulled out into even just a 200, 300 page book, I would have really enjoyed it.
Same.
I was a bit confused how, I mean, this isn't the part that I find confusing that I hinted at earlier, but I was a little bit confused how they walk into his house, he starts touching up on her titties.
Yeah.
And then...
It's page 28.
And then he's like touching lower, delving deep.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like letting it happen.
Yeah.
She was scared 2 seconds ago.
And now she's like, oh, okay, well.
Yeah. And then she's just like, it was just a little bit strange. And then he got randomly aggressive with it. Yeah. And she just went along. He's like, let me drip this wax on you. She's like, it's going to be hot. And he's like, don't argue with me. That was later.
Yeah, that was a little bit later. But, yeah, well, there's just one part that I was confused on because they're standing up.
Oh.
They're both standing up. She said he was 8 feet tall. How tall is she? Because her head was on his chest.
I mean, chest on an 8.
How tall is she? If she's 6 feet tall and he's 8 feet tall, she's still not hitting chest. I mean, she might be hitting chest.
She's hitting chest if she's 6 foot.
Like, well, it didn't say how tall she was, but an 8 foot headless horseman, and she's laying on his chest.
I don't remember reading 8 foot. I must have skipped that.
Let me find it.
You don't have to find it.
I need to find it. Yeah, so I was like confused. I think if you want to know, I was like, he's 8 feet tall, but standing, she's laying on his chest. I'm like, how are you laying on someone's chest if he's 8 feet tall? How tall are you? So that part I was confused about. But then also, I'm not going to look it up, but yeah, also, it started out with like just touching her boobs, her nipples, whatever. Cool. Then like 2 pages later, it was like, I'm going to finger bang you, okay?
And you can't tell me no.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do this. Like, you're mine now. Just accept it. Like, call me master.
Oh, yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
And when he first said it, I was like, but then when he explained why later he wanted to be called master,
I don't even remember him explaining why.
He doesn't remember his name.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. But like master, out of all the names, what about like Headless, Jack? He has, on his head.
I also wish there was more of his POV because the things that he talked about was interesting. Yeah. And then it was just back to her being like, why do I like this man who doesn't have a head?
Yeah. And like, yeah, he like, finger bangs her, I guess, and she comes like pretty quickly, I would say. She must have just been into not having a head. I don't know what was going on. And like, even without having a head, how was she laying on? I can't stop thinking about that. How was she laying on him? Anyway, like after all of that stuff happens, he's like, okay, well, let's just go have a bath. He's like washing her, which cool, and then suddenly, oh, let me pour some wax on you. You listen, dude. This is the relaxing time. Now you're gonna pour wax on me to get me started again. Yeah. Yeah. So when the part that I didn't like. Spanking, cool, okay? They finish with their bath, in the whole wax situation, well, she still has wax on her, I think, and she doesn't like the wax. She pretty much tells him no, and he's like, "No, I'm gonna punish you because you told me no," pretty much. So he like starts to like it goes back to like the bedroom and like starts to like spank her, and so he spanks her a lot. Apparently, like it's really starting to hurt her. Then he turns her around to spank the front of her, and I'm not all about hoo-ha spanking. Like, that doesn't do anything for me. I'm not into that. If you smack it, I'm gonna punch you. Anyway, so he does that, but the part that I didn't like is talking about the aftercare. Why is she bruised? Whatever.
Yes.
But why is she cleaning blood off of her?
No, not just that. It's like she talks about her past relationship in the beginning and how her grandma would not have approved of her relationship because he physically, mentally abused her.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, she's all of a sudden covered in bruises and she's cleaning blood off of herself, and she's I know when you choose it versus when it's forced upon you is different, but like this doesn't feel like she's choosing it either.
Like, the scene didn't go on for very long. I know it said that he was smacking her a lot, but to break the skin,
I don't know where he was smacking, what he was smacking with, that she started bleeding.
Yeah, because
I was really shocked when I read that.
In my head, I was thinking hands, like just smacking her with his hand. But then, like, I feel like you have to smack a lot, pretty hard, to break the skin, to not even to just break the skin.
Or something.
Yeah, but like not even to just break the skin, to be cleaning up dried blood. Like, that was one part that I didn't like. That was probably the only part that I didn't. The second part that I didn't like. I didn't like smacking, like, oh, you're about to come, let me smack your vagina. Relax. Just keep doing what you're doing, and it'll happen. You don't need to punch it, you know? So, I didn't like the smacking, the hoo-ha part, but then also smacking so much to where you're, like, covered in bruises and cleaning up blood. Like, you have to be either hitting with some kind of weapon, you know, it could be like, you know, a sexy time weapon, but, or for like a really long time in the same spot over and over to break skin that bleeds, that there's like visible blood that you need to clean off. Like, that was probably the only, like, the biggest thing. I mean, I could get past reading someone spanking a vagina, but I was like, why are you suddenly, like, bleeding? Yeah, I didn't like that part, but that wasn't the part the 8-foot tall one. What are you talking about that you mentioned?
They eventually, you know, fully do what they do. And then he's sleeping. She was like, oh, we should talk about his story first.
Okay.
So she's like, why don't you have a head? Why do I have to call you master? What's your name? And he's like, all right, sit down. Here's my story. And why I want to hear his POV is because I want to hear more about his story. He said he was wrongfully accused of being a witch in the Salem times, and he was hung for it. And when they used to hang witches in that time, they would cut their head off.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to him, and he crossed over, and Death was like, hey, come work for me because you were wrongly accused, and he just never got his head back. And I want to know more about that. Yeah, she talked about him having like some kind of accent, like a German something accent from like. Wasn't it like
It's like Hessein or something, like Hessian or something.
It probably has a different pronunciation.
Yeah, good with the pronunciation, but
especially German pronunciation.
Yeah, it was something like that, and then she's like, oh, well, he was like, well, you can give me a name. So she was like, Hesse or Hesse. Come on. You could. Yeah. Jack was so much better. Yeah. I mean, he's wearing that on his head. Like, come on. Yeah. And he was like, oh, what a good name. Good job. Yeah. What the fuck? You're lying to her. That's probably why you smacked the shit out of her.
Yeah. It's only been, like, not even more than a few hours, and she's already like, I love him. And he's like, oh, I love you.
Yeah.
And then he falls asleep, and she goes outside, talks to a magical horse, and is like, take me back to the human realm.
Yeah.
The thing that confused me is that she goes back to the human realm. She can only cross between the realms on Halloween. She goes back to find his head, and while she's searching, it says 6 months later from when she crossed, and all of a sudden it's Halloween again?
Yeah.
Halloween's not every 6 months. As much as I want it to be, it is not.
Yeah, that part was confusing too. It shouldn't have said 6 months. Well, yeah, it was really confusing.
That was the part that really confused me, because I was like, did I miss something? I feel like maybe some chapters might have gotten deleted. Like maybe there was part of her research that was done that we missed. But
yeah, it did say 6 months later, and I was just like, it's not Halloween.
All of a sudden, she's found all the information she needs to find, and it's 6 months later, a year later.
Surely she wasn't. The time didn't move differently there, and 6 months passed in the real world. Like that would be too much of a coincidence.
It should have been mentioned.
Yeah, that would have been like too much of a coincidence. But yeah, it was like 6 months later. Yeah, the horse was like, he's not gonna like this, and took her over, and then. Yeah, he was like,
we didn't get to see any of her research, too. I also would have loved to have read
it was
her
just
going
like
and talking to everyone and finding out all the information.
Yeah.
She talked to one person.
And then you knew exactly where the shit was at. Yeah.
And she all of a sudden has friends, even though she was so lonely.
Yeah, well,
and
it was
she felt like so disconnected from her community.
Yeah, it was the girl that she was doing the tarot reading on in the very beginning of the book. She was like Sam or something.
Yeah, she was like calling her so annoying. Like while she was doing the tarot, she was
now they're like best buds.
She only wants one answer, and then all of a sudden they're best friends, and she's a witch.
Yeah, suddenly she's a witch too.
If she's a witch, why doesn't she understand that you get what you get with tarot?
Yeah, that was sudden and random
too. She doesn't even stay. She finally got a friend, and then she just leaves again.
Gotta go back to her man, you know? Yeah, so then she like goes back, and he's like sulking, like, oh, you can't.
No, he's not just sulking. He's sulking in the bathtub.
Yeah, he's like in the bathtub, back is to her, and he's like, oh, you came back. Yeah, and then she comes back
she's like,
with a skull, like with his head. Yo. Were you expecting something?
What do you mean?
Holman's got red hair?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting red hair.
I was not expecting red hair either.
Like a brunette.
Yo, I was expecting black. But it was just like,
that too.
You know, like, whatever word she used, it's like red hair. And I was like,
yeah,
I was not expecting red hair.
Hair I was expecting.
Yeah,
like
I feel like curly hair is fine.
Hair, I was expecting.
Then she said it was like red.
All
like,
of this just because she kept thinking, oh,
I want to kiss
him. You.
Yeah. You went back to find someone's head just so you can kiss him.
You guys could have gone together.
Yeah. And he can only like, I don't know what happens if he gets stuck over there.
We didn't see any of the research, but I don't.
But I mean, like, is he allowed to stay until like November 1st? Like, it's just a Halloween thing. So like, what would happen if he stayed? But yeah, it's like I was not expecting the red hair. I was like, okay, he has red hair.
Let me show you what this tongue do.
Yeah, he's like, I've been waiting for this ever since I seen you. Yeah, and then he just, more things.
Yeah, so overall,
not a lot of things happened, but yeah.
I liked the story. I think I would have loved the story if it was longer and those things that I mentioned were like more detail, and the confusing 6 months thing was fixed.
And the 8 foot, that really messed with me.
That didn't bother me.
I was like,
but if those things had been changed, I would have given this book probably a 5 out of 5. But because it wasn't, I gave it a 3.
I gave it a 2. I gave it a 2 out of 5, and for the spice, I also gave 2 out of 5.
I gave 2 out of 5 too. Just because he was too aggressive, and then he would talk like so sweet.
Yeah.
Normally with aggressive books, they have like an edge to them. But like, he had such a submissive voice. Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's like, call me master. Yeah. It just, how quick he was able to switch. I was like, he spoke so meek and mild, and then he was like doing this stuff that didn't match.
Yeah, I'm like, when's the last time you were with a person and then you're being so aggressive, like right out the gate? Learn how to speak to me.
Yeah, I highly doubt I know he's, like, collecting people every now and then, but, like, I highly doubt he's fucking any... Oh.
Yeah.
He's doing anything with any of them. Because, like, it just doesn't make sense.
They're like, he's just killing them.
Also, like, in the description, I'm pretty sure it mentioned something about how he had been watching her and he took her. In the book, didn't mention anything about him watching her.
It just said that he saw her, like, on the bridge and he just felt her magic. And he was like, I knew I wanted you.
Yeah.
Like, he just took her because of her magic. And she doesn't even do magic for him.
Yeah, no.
Like...
She stopped doing magic the minute she walked out of her house.
Yeah, and... I don't know. But I mean...
Also, with her magic, like, I feel like it could have helped her find the head.
Yeah.
And because she has magic, she could have also opened... Maybe not. But she could have also probably opened up the realm.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know... Do you think actual death would, like, had a problem with that? Because he's just, like, a helper, I would say.
Again, like, it was good, but I feel like it could have been so much better as, like, a full book. Yeah,
I think I just gave it 2 out of 5, just because there was more story, but things were a little bit more confusing, and I wouldn't say rushed, but things were, like, left out that I feel like could have added to the story.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still, I would have enjoyed it if it was, 200 pages or even over 100. I think it would have still been better, or, like, given more. There was, like, 2 chapters, was, like, a paragraph, and it's, like, his little POV about something.
His POV was always just a paragraph.
Yeah, it was so short and quick, and it's, like, next page, back to her, like...
Yeah, I wish
I feel like he was more interesting than she was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would like to...
his parts. Yeah, read more about his backstory, or, like, even early years of being the Headless Horseman, or something.
Learning how to use his pumpkin head.
Yeah. Not...
Meeting death.
I mean, I don't think he, like, needs to eat, but just going day by day without having a head.
Yeah, he also never explained how he got her a glass of wine randomly.
Does he have magic?
I don't know.
And it was really good, apparently. It was, like, tasty wine.
She almost came from this wine.
Yeah. The amount of times, not just this story, but in stories in general, the amount of times they're, like, moaning in pleasure from eating or drinking something, why can I not experience that?
Same.
Because...
Sometimes I think, whenever I'm reading a story, like, do I enjoy food?
Yeah, because the way these people are, like, eat things, they're, like, really enjoying it to the point where, it's, like, orgasmic, and I'm just, like, something's really tasty, but I'm not, like, soaking. I don't know how to, like, say it, like, I don't know.
Yeah. I still like this one. I
enjoyed this
if reading the last one had an effect.
Yeah, the last one was a lot compared to this one.
But...
Well, the thing was, the last book, I gave the spice rating so high because the amount of pages that were in that one, compared to the spice, it was, like, huge. Yeah. But this one, there was more story, and the spicy scenes were very short and quick. And I feel like they could have been a little bit longer. I mean, I know he's been, like, the Headless Horseman for who knows how long. I think it was, like, I don't know. It was over 100 years. Like, 200, 300. It said something, like, a long-ass time ago. So, what's the chances of him being able to find someone to, like, share those moments with? And then he finally gets someone, and the scenes are so, like, short and quick.
Yeah.
Like, not even, like, oh, sorry, I came so fast. Like, not even him doing that. Just scenes with her. And then, yeah, I mean, they did have, like, sex or whatever, but even that was very short. And they didn't mention anything about, oh, haha, it's been a while, like, cheesy jokes. I feel like it could have been drawn out a whole lot more, and it would have been a bit better to, like, read about. but it was very
a lot was
short and quick
into the story.
Yeah.
I feel like
the story was longer than the spicy scenes, which isn't a problem, but the spicy scenes could have been a bit more, not even detailed, just longer. I feel like it was suddenly, oh, let me touch your nipples, let me finger bang you, oh, you came, okay, bath time, wax, let me spank you till you bleed, oh, hoo-hoo, let's have sex, I'm gonna go back to my world and find your head. Like, what?
Yeah, she didn't even, like, think about it. She got up, she was like, oh, I wish I could kiss him. Got up, left, went
yeah,
to
like, in the middle of the night, kind of,
to
like,
find his head.
middle of the day, yeah. Just to go find his head. Yeah, and the horse was like, oh, there's only a few more hours until dawn. Like, you're not going to make it back. She's like, I'll come back. I thought she was going to come back, like, that day. And it was, like, 6 months later. Not even Halloween.
I didn't think she was going to make it back, but I thought she would, like, find a way back.
Yeah, or, like, he was going to see that she was gone, like, sense that she was gone and, like, try to go over or something. Yeah, I thought it was something like that. But, again, it wasn't, like, an awful story. I just wish it was a little bit more thought about with some scenes.
But again, like, we went into this book knowing it was how many pages it was.
Yeah, that's true.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Well, the other one was just straight smut the whole time.
Yeah, but again, same thing.
Yeah. We went in, we did pick some shorter. I guess this one technically could be like another in-between book cleanser kind of thing, because there's not like a book 2 or anything like that. It's not like a series. I mean, maybe there's other books that are like this, but it's still not like a series, so just something you can quickly read to get like a refresh maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that bad though. I was just shocked by the red hair too. I was like, you got red hair? I feel like there's not a lot of books that I read where the person does have red hair. Like, the only book I can think of is, like, ACOTAR. Like, there's some redheaded characters in there, but what's the last book, one of the books that I read where the character has red hair? Do you read about red hair a lot? It's usually, like, blonde, brown, or black.
Well, lately I've been reading, like, seasonal stories, like seasonal fae type things, and usually autumn has auburn-ish hair.
I guess that's fair. Because, yeah, in ACOTAR, they have red hair too. That core, I don't know if all of them do, but the characters that she talks about has it. I just don't read about red hair a lot, so I wasn't even thinking, oh, maybe he has red hair. And then when I read that he does, I was like, shocker. Wasn't expecting that. Yeah. And then even her coming back.
I was just gonna say, she described him as like, in my mind, I pictured it kind of like boyish.
Yeah.
Which again doesn't match with his. I mean, anyone can have their own preferences.
Switch back and forth.
But like normally is not the right word, but normally when there's a dominant or more aggressive preference in a book, the person has more of like a rugged, darker, even just like downcast eyebrow detail. Yeah. And I feel like he had like bright eyes and big full lips and stuff like that, and it just didn't.
Yeah, it was also like strange how she brings a skull to him and suddenly it's like a whole human head. I mean, I know there's like, he's the Headless Horseman, maybe there's some kind of mystical, magical type of thing to it, but now that he has his head, does he need to wear the thing to go back to the other realm? Does he need to not go? Oh, they did mention that, like, a year later, like, when it was Halloween time again, he didn't go back. He didn't cross over. Yeah. He, like, stayed there, like, in bed with her, I guess. So he's already neglecting his duties.
No, it wasn't a year later. It was that year. Because she went back the next year with his head. And she was like, he didn't even leave this year because she got back and they stayed together. Yeah. Do you want to know what I thought he would look like?
What?
Whenever she brought back his head?
What?
Just a skull head on top.
Honestly, I was thinking like Ghost Rider. Is it Ghost Rider with, is it like Nicolas Cage?
I think so.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
That's what I was picturing. I was like, how is she gonna kiss a skull?
Yeah, and then he magicked and he's like flesh and bone, you know, and I was just like, I was thinking that. Ghost Rider. I was like, okay, she has a skull. She can look at a head-ish, you know.
Just kissing teeth.
I just hear, like, clanking, like... Yeah, like, could you imagine, like, her, like, the actual movements of kissing and then her, like, putting her tongue into a void? Like, there's no tongue to kiss back with you or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he just has a whole face. I think it only mentioned that, like, his head changed. I don't know if he, like... I think he already had hands.
She said his hair was, like, kind of translucent.
Yeah, though. It was, like... She said some smoky kind of thing at one point, too.
That's why I was also
but it has to be,
his head was so fleshy.
But, like, it has to be, like, corporal enough to where he can, like, you know, put them in there and smack her with them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But just the head missing and then, yeah, just straight to, like, flesh and things. But yeah, she's like, I bet you could kiss for an eternity if he hasn't kissed in such a long time. I don't know when the last time, whenever she kissed, but... Yeah, I was also thinking about that, like, when things were happening, I'm like, I need to kiss, like, when I'm, like, having sex. And just to imagine just looking over someone's shoulders and not having a head there, but then, like, expecting to kiss, and then there's nothing. Oh, the whole point of the story, riding the Headless Horseman. At the end of the book, she did ride him. She did ride him. She was like, let me show you. And she was like, I'm on top now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was where the whole riding the Headless Horseman came in. But at that point, is he headless anymore? Just riding the horseman.
True.
Because he's not headless anymore. He's got a head. Yeah, but I just feel like, I don't know, I wouldn't, like, recommend it to someone, like, oh, hey, here's a book to read, but I also wouldn't, like, discourage them from reading it.
Yeah, if someone told me that they were going to read it, I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's a good book, but just be prepared, it seems, like, unfinished.
Yeah, or, like, let me know what you think, and we can talk about it after you're finished. It's not going to take you.
Tell me what you think about the time.
Yeah, and 8 feet tall.
That didn't bother me.
Listen, I swear it said 8 feet tall.
Okay.
Like, I really have to search for it now. Riding the Headless Horseman. 8 feet tall. Let me search this real quick. Talk to them. 8 feet. Let me see. 8 feet. 8. 18 plus. Oh, she's 28. 80, Satanic Panic. 18th century frock. Let me search for tall. The Witching Hour. An 8-foot tall man clad in all black. Muscles so big that his clothes stretched taut across his body. And nothing but that goddamn pumpkin on his head. Yeah, that's what it says. 8 feet tall. Oh, he says... He calls her Little Mortal. I just saw that in the book. He says, behave, Little Mortal. She's like, my name is Arletta, first of all. Stop calling me Little Mortal. I thought Little Mortal was cute.
Mm.
I was like, oh, a little nickname already. Yeah, an 8-foot tall man. Yeah. And... Yeah, I don't know, there's... It's so stupid. He... smirks at me. I'll punish you if you do not behave. Shut up. First of all, just shut up. I don't know. I don't have a problem with, like, the whole dom and sub situation, but you just met me. We didn't talk about this, and you're just telling me to behave and listen to you and you're my master. You abducted me, first of all. Took me from my home. I'm on a leisurely walk. You take me from my home. Realm jump with me. Now I'm in your area. I don't have proper clothes. I don't even have fucking chapstick. And you take me And now you expect me to call you master? Feed me. Okay? Give me some food. Give me some sustenance besides this fucking wine. I don't want wine. Give me Baja Blast. I mean, if I was her. But, like, I don't know. Again, yeah, I think the book was fine just to have something to read. Didn't take long to read. Maybe an hour if you're, I wouldn't say average, but if you read often, even an hour and a half, I guess, if you're a slower reader. I don't think it would take too long. It's like, 50-something pages.
If you need a little bit of story and you like it rougher, then...
I just cannot imagine someone spanking me repeatedly. Bruises, I understand. If you spank something over and over and over again, you're going to get a bruise. But wiping dried blood. Not even, oh, haha, she has a little cut. Wiping dried blood. I can't imagine that. If you're into that, I mean, cool. That's really fine. I just can't imagine how long I would have to be enduring that. Because it happened not slow. I feel like it happened quickly. And then it's just like... I don't know. Again, it wasn't a bad story. Like, I feel like her writing was fine. The think talk, I thought that was, funny and fine.
I didn't mind the think talk, but when that one sentence where it was like 3 times in one sentence.
What?
I don't remember what sentence it was, but she did the think talk 3 times, 3 different times in one sentence. Not one paragraph, one sentence.
I don't remember that part.
That part, it was just a little bit too much.
Like, we get it, and they
because
think talk.
She's already thinking, she wasn't, like, speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't see the relevancy, and it also didn't pop up later in the book.
Yeah. That's true.
It was just mostly, like, when she was being abducted.
Abducted, for sure.
Like, when you're... maybe I just don't think on a deeper level, but when I think, I just have one level of thoughts. I don't have, like, deeper levels of conscious having...
I feel like it depends on what I'm thinking about. If I'm being abducted, he's gonna kill me. He's gonna do awful things to me. I'm never gonna see my family again. No one's gonna know where I'm at. I'd be thinking those things, but they're still kind of
I was about to say,
similar
not,
in
like,
the
breaking
same.
Up your sentence.
Yeah, it's like in the same kind of ideas or the same kind of topic, but yeah, the whole think talk. He think smirked at me. He think talked at me. Like, how are you talking? You don't have a head. Like, I saw you take it off your head. Yeah, I agree. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, it was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm excited for the next one. I wouldn't say excited. I mean, I'm ready for the next book. Don't really. I'm trying not to, like, research too much. Not research, but, like, read so much about what something is. I'm just looking at the book. I'm judging the book by its cover. I'm just looking at it. I'm like, okay, what do we think is going to happen? Like, that kind of thing.
I've had it in my TBR for a long time, and there's just something about it that I don't know what it is, but something's holding me back from reading it.
This next book?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not in mine. It's completely new to me.
It was in my TBR, like, last year, and then I took it out.
I had to take it out, yeah, because
so I could
you don't have to do that with Apple Books. Apple Books! But yeah, I think that's it for now. Yeah, if you read this book, tell us your thoughts. Leave us a comment about if you had any kind of opinions about blood. I mean, thankfully it wasn't, like, blood play. Like, he wasn't just, like, playing in it. Like, it was just, okay, here, let's clean you up kind of situation.
I do kind of enjoy blood play, especially if it's, like, with...
Yeah, I'm not against it, but I just feel like it wouldn't have fit. Because, yeah, he's, like, the whole I'm your master thing, but then when he's not like that, he's like, oh, he'd be like, oh my god, like, are you okay? Instead of, like, let me cut you again, like, that kind of thing. But, yeah, If you have read this book, just let us know what you thought about it. If your opinions are the same or different to ours. Or if you even want to read it, you can just say, hey, I'm going to read this next. Thanks for the review. No, just kidding. But yeah, just let us know. And yeah, anything else you want to say? Alright, I guess we'll see you in the next video. Bye!